Yo, Ashva here. We're all saddled up in the new Wild West Online, developed by 612 Games, who has just recently launched a 24/7 persistent alpha with the Wild West themed MMO. Now, this is not going to be a review or a first impressions, but more a good, the bad, the ugly, and the future of Wild West Online. So let's jump right in. Again, Wild West Online is a Wild West themed MMO, which according to the developer 612 Games is an action MMO featuring world exploration, resource gathering, PvP combat, PvE missions, and much more, where your actions decide if you'll be a hero or a villain or something entirely different in this R-rated adult playground, where you choose if you want to follow the law of the land or throw the good book out the window. But dig a little deeper, you might start to suspect there's more going on here than just lawmakers and lawbreakers. Underneath the surface, this West is even wilder than meets the eye. Now, this is rather refreshing in the MMO genre. Most MMOs are either fantasy or sci-fi, and here we get a little piece of Americana. And having tested hundreds of games in development for the better part of 20 years, I'm pretty excited about the potential for Wild West Online. So let's start out with the good. It's the Wild West, man. You know, that part of American history where we got the likes of Billy the Kid, Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, and of course, Clint Eastwood. Every kid has dreamed of being a cowboy dueling at high noon, and this makes for a great world to game in. And graphically, this game is beautiful in the alpha stages, especially with such a small team. I think they got like 20 or 30 people. But I love the whole look of the world and how smoothly the environments transition from a rocky, dusty, deserty area to prairie fields into forestry. It blends very well, and with the breathtaking mountain ranges, the realistic western towns, I can see myself being fully immersed in this world. I mean, the idea that I can form a posse and hunt down some bandits who just knocked off a bank, or be a bandit being hunted by a posse for knocking off a bank, is thrilling to me, especially since I'm an old Star Wars Galaxies vet who sorely misses the days of hunting Jedi. So all in all, right now, we have the startings of what could potentially be a really great MMO. It really depends on where the devs take it. Now for the bad. Let's just get this out of the way. Since the announcement of Wild West Online, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the game due to the infamous Sergey Titov. You know, the guy who scammed people in games like War Z, Aftermath, and Shattered Skies. And because 612 Games decided to use the engine developed by Sergey, the gaming community is skeptical that Wild West Online is just another Sergey scam. Now, 612 Games has come out and officially addressed this issue by saying that they are not affiliated with Sergey at all and have only licensed the engine that he created. But people are still skeptical, and you can't blame them. At the same time, I myself will give the devs at 612 Games the benefit of the doubt. Not really because I'm not skeptical, but more because I want this game to succeed. In the end, only the devs can prove the community right or wrong, and we'll just have to wait and see. Moving on to the ugly. Let me preface this by saying, I know it's an alpha, guys, but there is no better time than an alpha to express your dislikes and likes. And with that being said, the character and horse animations are freaking horrid. My guy looks like he hooked up with the most used up and ugly brothel girl and caught the clap. It's just bad, non-fluid, stiff animations. And on the horse, he's bent over like Gumby. Now, I know 612 Games did release a video of motion capture. All I'm saying, put it in now. It's killing me. Now, the PvP and the PvE in this game has a potential to be great, but right now, it being this early in development, there is very little PvE content, and the PvP is way out of balance. So hopefully they will get this right, because it is what can make or break the game. Another thing that I really don't dig is the server capacity. I think it's too low. I did notice from the first alpha to the second alpha, they upped the capacity from 50 to 100, which is a good move. But in persistent MMO, we need larger capacity servers. Now, fast forwarding into the future. Now, my opinion on what can make Wild West Online a great game and have staying power is just that. It's my opinion. A lot of it depends on the vision the devs have for their game. Do they want it to be a shoot 'em up or an MMO? If they want it to be a straight PvP game, I'd probably pass, because I prefer persistent world MMOs where I can grow my character and live in the game. If I want full-blown PvP, I'll play PUBG or Battlefront 2. Don't get me wrong. I'm a PvPer at heart. I generally don't do PvE other than what I have to do to make my character competitive in PvP. But I'm also not delusional to think that PvE is not needed. Because PvE is absolutely needed. PvEers and PvE are part of the game in our community, and I hate separating PvEers and PvPers by using different server types. I prefer how Black Desert does their servers. There is an NA and there is an EU. Then there are multiple channels that can be freely switched between with a 10-minute cooldown. There are no PvE servers or PvP servers. The community is all together, and that's how it needs to stay. And to make the world of Wild West Online come alive, it needs to be populated with NPCs. Now, I know that this is alpha, so there's probably plans to do this, but I'm just making it clear that we need them roaming around and saying off-the-wall shit like, "Hey partner, I ain't seen you around these parts." We need wild horses grazing on the prairie. We need cowboys herding cattle, wagons coming and going. Just look at Black Desert's world. That game feels so alive because the NPCs are so interactive. We need that in Wild West Online. Which brings me to the quests, missions, and dungeons, which in a Wild West themed game, there is so much potential. Again, I know it's just alpha and the current quests are simple fetch quests, which is fine, but let's work towards much deeper story quests like, old William Tilley's son got killed by bandits and he wants revenge, and you're gonna go help him exact his vengeance. Or the bank is moving gold from one city to another and needs protection from NPC bandits and player bandits. Or a farmer's cattle is being killed by wolves. Go clear them out. There is just so many options to make great quests, even making dungeons to pit players against each other like in Age of Wushu, where a group of players are fighting their way through NPCs until they reach the boss, then another group of players are brought in to protect the boss. The options are endless in a game like this. I mean, who doesn't want to be sitting around a campfire at night with his buddies singing old folk songs and eating barbecue squirrel? New York City! Or see the sun rise as they cross the prairie on horseback. We need day and night cycles for sure. It's just another way of bringing to life the world we're playing in. As well as some dynamic weather with rain, wind, thunderstorms, snow. All these things make our world much more immersive. Now, speaking of immersion, there needs to be different tasks: fishing, crafting, cooking, and they need to matter. They need to allow players to sell things that they have crafted to other players, thus creating a player-run economy. I myself would like to see a horse system akin to Black Desert where I can catch a horse in the wild and breed them, then sell them, in essence being a horse rancher. Or a gunsmith that has made a name for himself by making the best guns in the game, so players flock to him to make their weapons. Now, I know systems like this take time and are a little more complicated, but this is about what could make this game stand out from the competition in the MMO genre. Which brings me to the topic that is the nearest and dearest to me. Being that I played a bounty hunter in Star Wars Galaxies for 8 years, one of the biggest draws of Wild West Online for me was the mention of a player bounty system. Now, in Wild West Online's first alpha, their bounty system was a simple GTA 5 commit a crime and get tagged with the bandit symbol for all to see and attack. Now, in the second alpha, they've made that a little better, with deputies being able to find nearby bandits by utilizing the bounty board, but both are very simple and generic and kind of boring. There is no better game to have a true bounty system in it than Wild West Online. To date, the best bounty system that ever existed was Star Wars Galaxies, where if a player PK'd another player, the player that was killed would get an option to place a minimum bounty on the PKer. Then bounty hunters could go to the bounty terminal and check for the most lucrative bounty. It didn't tell the bounty hunter the name of the target or the class, only the amount and the faction. Once the bounty hunter chose which bounty he wanted, he had to talk to an NPC which gave him the biological signature of his target. Then the bounty hunter would send out a probe droid that would locate the planet or zone that his target was in. Once he knew the zone, he would send out a seeker droid, which is where it got intense, because depending on the bounty hunter's skills in tracking determined how fast he would receive the location in the form of a waypoint of his target. Once located, the fight was on. The bounty hunter was successful, there would be a server-wide notification that said such and such bounty hunter had collected the bounty on such and such criminal. It was the most fun I had in a game, and it made for constant content, but it is a little more complex than other bounty systems. Now, the bounty system that I think would work best with Wild West Online is more like Moonlight Blade's bounty system. Even though Moonlight Blade's bounty system is very similar to Star Wars Galaxies, it's still more simplistic than Star Wars Galaxies. And I've written an extensive guide on Moonlight Blade's bounty system, and I'll leave a link in the description below. So to me, the best way to implement this in Wild West Online is when a player PKs another player. the player gets an option to place a bounty on the PKer. The bounty then goes to the bounty board. Then the players who are deputies and bounty hunters can access the board and choose one bounty to hunt at a time. Then through the bounty hunter skill line, you can send out a bird or a dog or something that tracks your target. And depending on how many points you have in tracking would determine the speed you receive the information on your target. That information could come in the form of a circle on the map that highlights the area that your bounty is in. And as he moves, the highlighted area would also move. Now once you find your target, you attack. If you kill him, you collect your bounty. If he kills you, he remains on the bounty board for another bounty hunter to hunt. Now, I would like to take it a step further and have 612 Games implement a player justice system. So when the bounty hunter kills his target is then put in front of a court. And that court would be made up of randomly selected players who would decide the fate of the criminal. Arcades did a really good job with their player justice system, where players can sign up to be the judge on a criminal player's trial. 5 players are randomly selected, while the criminal pleads his case before those 5 players. The 5 players then receive a pop-up that asks them guilty or not guilty. If 3 out of the 5 choose guilty, he is guilty. Then they receive another pop-up of how long should he spend in jail. Once that's determined, he is sentenced, he goes to jail. In jail, there was multiple activities, from soccer to trying to break out to gambling your way out. There was different options and it made it fun. And we could take it a step further and implement a jailbreak system, where if a player is sentenced to jail, he can get his posse or guild or clan or whatever together to come break him out of jail. When that happens, there would be a server-wide notification that such and such player was trying to break out of jail, which then would call to arms the deputies who would try to stop the jailbreak, a lot like Age of Wushu has. These are just ideas that I'm having. Again, I really want this game to succeed, and all the things I mentioned I'd love to see in this game. So please let me know what you think of the ideas and the ideas you have for this game as well. Well, that's it for me right now, guys. Thanks for watching, and if you dig the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my Twitch channel where I stream these games Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. Eastern till I get tired. Also, hook up with me on my Facebook and my Twitter to get live updates on what I'm doing and what games I'm playing. Until next time, I'll see you in game.